current comfort/discomfort level with your foot?
It is. It's different. I mean, it was painful at first, getting better by the day, and just trying to assess the recovery in real time, just to know how much we can push it on a day-to-day. Right now, obviously, not much. So, just trying to stay patient and know that it'll continue to get better and make the necessary steps to get back on the floor, get my other shoe back on, and get reps in, and hopefully get back out there as soon as possible.
There was a lot of talk about the play that you got hurt on. Have you seen it again, and what are your thoughts about what happened on what unfolded?
Yeah, he didn't try to hurt me. There's a certain way that he plays that I don't think many other people would have made the play that he did, but I don't think it was malicious or dirty or trying to hurt me. It's kind of just a tough situation. And like I said, just the way that he plays, there's a conversation just around should he or shouldn't he have, but it wasn't like he looked at me and was like, I'm trying to hurt that dude. So it's basketball.
Have you ever had an injury similar to this?
No.
What do you think is, or what are you being told maybe, like, is a realistic timetable to get back?
I mean, that 2 weeks is kind of the marker just to know how it's healing. And from what I'm told, just in terms of the ligaments around the injury and the bone that's kind of underneath there, you want to not rush the beginning phases of healing, because that's where you can get the most progress, so that when you do put the shoe back on, get back on the court, get reps, that you're not dealing with crazy soreness or anything, and you give yourself a better shot. Because this is one, I guess, if you push it too soon, it can linger and be a real nuisance. And it's obviously anything with your foot, your ankle, anywhere down there, you want to be, I would say, cautious, but just because you don't want that to be something that lingers when you get back out there on the floor.
I assume your belief, though, is like playoff game 1, round 1.
I think I got enough time for that, but I'm an optimist, so yeah.
One of your old teammates, Festus, was on the pregame show, and he was saying that one thing about you is that, if you have something bothering you going into the late part of the season and playoffs, that when you come back, you feel sorry for the other team because you come back with a vengeance. That's kind of been what you've done over the past of your career. Is that just a matter of like rejuvenating and reviving and getting healthy and rolling, or what's the psychology behind the way you've been able to come back in the past?
You can't control what happens to you. Obviously, injuries are a part of the game. When they happen, the severity of them, you assess, get a game plan, understand what the timeline is, and then the same way I commit to preparing myself for games, throughout the season, the off season is the same way you prepare and commit to what the rehab process looks like. It is, and we've talked about it like with Wise, with Draymond, with Clay. The rehab is the hardest part of what we do because it's monotonous and longer hours, and you're dealing with pain and stuff like that. But if you, the way I try to approach that time frame is obviously I'm trying to heal and stay patient, but everything else I can do to work on my body and not lose everything that I put into it this year, that I can get back out there and be effective really quickly. And that's more of a mental thing than anything, just, committing to what the rehab process and the plan that we put in place, knowing that it's all going to put me in the best position to be successful when I get back out there on the floor. So it's hard work, and it's not fun at times, but it usually pays off.
You just listed several other guys who have been injured this season or still are, and for a second it felt that you guys were finally going to have your cohesive group, but now what is the frustration or concern that you won't see that group that you will be playing with in the playoffs until probably just before, if not game 1?
Yeah, it was a rough 48 hours just thinking about that when I got hurt, just because you're celebrating, it's been 1,005 days since me, Clay, Draymond have played. Coincidentally, that game, Wiggs isn't there because he's sick. and we're like, oh, it's great. We're back together. Then we played a total of 11 minutes, I think, together, and then I get hurt. So it's frustrating for sure, and we've all kind of been in our own, obviously Clay in a different ballpark, but we all been in our own kind of rehab journeys now and injuries and trying to get back out there on the floor. What I have comfort in is that we know each other so well that when we do get healthy, that we can pick up wherever we left off and understand how to be effective. The hard part is, obviously, you don't know what rotations will look like, and there's going to be a little bit of guesswork going into that last stretch of the season and the playoffs. But it's a great test for our guys to, finish the season strong. Whenever I can get back out there, hopefully it's a smooth transition, and then we, just bring our best selves for the playoff chase. And I like the thought of where we're at when we're healthy, and the fact that we will hopefully have fresh, legs and bodies and minds ready to take on that playoff chase. So we're gonna have to be a little nimble, I think, towards the end of the season to figure out what that looks like.
You guys were 2-7, I think, without you last year. What's kind of
different team this year? So I'm excited about what they're gonna do.
How much of that is Jordan's growth, and he's going to be stepping into kind of your starting spot?
That's a huge part of it, and what he's been demonstrating the last year, but especially the last month, of his efficiency. Obviously, Clay continuing to find his rhythm and get his legs underneath him. Draymond back, hungry and fiery, ready to put his injury behind him. And even Wiggs, he had a slow kind of run after the All-Star break, really finding his game again. So there's a lot of motivation for everybody to finish strong. So obviously it starts tonight, and I'm excited to watch it because there's a sense of urgency on playing Warriors basketball these last 12 games, and winning as many as we can and coming into this playoff strong.
Steve talked about how maybe a silver lining of this, kind of piggybacking off that, is these guys will learn how to execute without you so that in the playoffs, when you need to sit on the bench or take a rest, these guys could hopefully keep you guys afloat. Do you see that as just a good outcome possibility from this?
Well, anytime anybody who's in the rotation is out, it requires everybody else to make adjustments and step up and do some things differently, things we do well even better, and take on that challenge. So we had to do that, and we tried to do that as good as we can. As Draymond was out for that stretch, it obviously didn't go as well as we wanted to, but we think we learned a lot about ourselves, and individually we learned a lot about what it takes to win at this level. Same thing is going to happen now in these 12 games. So definitely that specific point about minutes that I'm off the court, and just a confidence in the sets that we call and how we keep our offensive efficiency up, but more so just anytime anybody's out, everybody's got to make the necessary adjustments, and that's what good teams do.
What are you able to do right now?
I mean, pretty much anything not on my feet. So in the weight room, getting stuff, core stuff to keep a body active and try to break a sweat and kind of keep your mind engaged on that work. And hopefully by next week, I'll be on my feet for sure, or hopefully on the court to get the ball back in my hands and slowly get back to what you call basketball activities.
So much of your game is on conditioning and movement. Is it? I mean, if it is only a couple weeks, do you feel like it won't be a big issue for you conditioning wise, or like how quick can you fall out of condition not working? Not
that quick, especially because I work so hard on the other stuff. So that's the not so glamorous part about what we do that most people don't see back there, like the amount of hours you put in, the different ways that you can challenge your body, challenge your wind, and work on that cardio and all that type of stuff. So 2 weeks hopefully 2 weeks isn't that much time, and especially the last like quarter of whatever the rehab process is where you almost have intensities that are way harder than what you do in the 30-something odd minutes I play, so that you're ready to make that transition back. And hopefully I won't have like a minutes restriction and all that type of stuff, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself yet.